This is how to prepare for your social media marketing meetings. And this is step by step everything that I do to get prepared for my meetings. So if I can help you guys out with this, I'm going to share what I do in order to get ready for the meeting and then conduct the meeting. So the first thing I do before I get on the call is I actually write down their information. So whoever you're getting on the call with, you're already going to have their email. So I just pull their email up. I write down on my notebook, I write their first name and last name. I have their email ready. And if they gave me their phone number, I have their phone number ready. So just in case I need to quickly send something to their email, or I quickly need to send them a text message with some information, or just maybe anything that they'll need when I conduct the call. So you also want to have their name right there so you can see it in case you just forget while you're talking to them. You want to call them by their first name. So having it right there is going to allow you to be able to quickly reference that, so you can call them by name if you need to. So the next thing you want to do is I always have make sure my mic is on, and I make sure my camera's on. So at first I didn't really have a mic, and I noticed a lot of the calls that I was taking when I would go listen to the recordings, my calls kind of sounded like trash. So it's very professional for you to get a mic. You can get a mic for cheap. I think I got mine for like $50. You can get them for cheaper than that, but I think the decent ones start around like $50 or so, which is a great investment because you're going to be doing a lot of calls. So you just want to have a mic because the audio is like, there's a clear difference between the audio depending on what computer you have. Because when I get on my computer and I go through like the system mic and I listen to it, like I said, it sounds trash and it's just very unprofessional. People are probably like, my clients and stuff like that are probably just like, why doesn't this dude like invest in a new mic? And when I got my new mic, I realized there was like a big difference in the audio quality. And I think that does help a lot in terms of like your presentation. And speaking of that, I have a funny story about, so I didn't have the paid version of Zoom for the longest time. I just had the free version, which only gives you like 45 minutes to do your calls, and then it will cut you off. And one of my clients that I had, we were literally about to get cut off, and then like with me and my media buyer, I would like pick up the phone and I would like message him and be like, oh, we only got like this amount of time left. And we're like on the onboarding calls with this dude. It happened like a few times with this dude, and we got cut out, right? And then he came back on and he's like, dude, you come up with like all these great strategies and stuff like that. Like, you're running your own company, you're running your own business. Like, why don't you just get the paid version of Zoom? And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, and that's like a big thing because these companies, like when you're asking them to pay you like $1,500 or $2,000 or like $3,000 per month, they want to see everything as professional as possible. And that was just something that was unprofessional of me, because it's like, basically like he said, you have all this great offer, like you were able to get me on this call, you were able to track me to this call, you were able to close the call, and you don't even have a $15 per month like Zoom subscription. So it was like on me to get that. And after that, I was like, yeah, I need to upgrade. And from then on, I've had the paid version. So that's just the funny story about having that's why I say you need to be prepared. Just have everything looking professional, ready to go. Your mic, your camera, and just like your Zoom and all that. So the next thing you want to do is you want to have your notes ready. So you want to have like a pen and a notebook, because when you're asking them questions, when you're going through like your sales script and stuff like that, when you're asking them questions, you want to write down every point so that you can remember that. So when it comes down time to the objections, and when it comes down time to present your offer and your pricing, you'll always have what they said, and you'll know that they said they're ready to, like, for example, you're going to ask them like, oh, when are you looking to transform your business? and they'll be like, oh, like as soon as possible within the next week. And so you'll use that against them because you have everything in your notes to go back to, because they're always going to come up with these objections most of the time. So at the end of it, they'll say, oh, like I need like a month or so, whatever, to think about it. And then you look at the notes and it says, I'm ready to commit next week, or like as soon as possible. And you say, so when I asked you earlier about how committed are you to changing your business, you told me as soon as possible. And now you're saying that it's not going to be in your favor to start within maybe a month or so. So in my mind, that's basically telling me that either something's wrong with what I presented to you, you don't understand what I presented to you, or something's wrong with my system. So what is it? And you basically put them on the spot like that. They're always going to come up with objections, and your goal is just to conquer those. You just have to basically, just through trial and error, you're going to hear a lot of the same type of objections coming up, and it's just your job to figure out a certain saying for each one so that you can try to prevent the objection before it even happens. You can start adding that into your sales script and into like your presentation if you have one. And yeah, you just want to conquer that. So you want to, like I said, going back to my point, you want to have your notes ready to go, because you want to have down what their goals are. When you ask them, oh, you want to go from 5K, and what is your goal per month? Oh, 10K. So you want to go from 5K to 10K within 3 months. So explain to me like what you're doing currently that's going to help you change that. So you want to have all your notes written down so that you can look at them for reference, because you're going to need all of that coming down the line. Because if you forget what they say and then you screw that up at the end, so they tell you they want to make 10K, or they want to make 15K, and you forget how much they told you their goal was, and you say, so you want to make 5 to 10K, and you mess it up, sometimes they'll snap at you and be like, I already make that amount of money with my business. I told you I want to make this amount. And it just kind of looks bad on you, because it kind of looks like you're just there for, you're basically being robotic. You're just reading off your sales script and you're not really listening to what they have to say. So you want to get everything correct when you're talking to these clients, when you're talking to these business owners one-on-one. You want to have everything correct, because when you start making mistakes like that, it looks like your sales script is just a plug and play, and they're going to know that you're just basically reading off of a sales script and you don't have that much experience with sales. So it just kind of looks bad on you. So yeah, that point is you want to have your notes ready at all times. And the next thing is you want to record your calls. So you always want to have these call recordings. Like I explain always, one of the most important things about the sales call is that you get it recorded, because literally like 95% of my calls are recorded. 95% of my calls are recorded, and like the few calls that I haven't recorded, there's always something that comes up that I need to go back to from the calls, and I don't have it because I didn't record the call. Like I'll literally be talking to like my media buyer and stuff like that, and he'll say, hey, did they what was the how much amount of money did they make, and what type of ads are they currently running right now? And I'll be like, I think they're running like Instagram ads or something like that. And I go back to find the recording and I realize that I didn't record it. And that's always happened to me. Whenever you don't record the calls, it always happens to you where you need something from that call and you just don't have it anymore. So you need to, for number one, you need to have the calls for reference, so you can go back and see every call that you need to, that something comes up and you need to go back and find that information in the call. You have all your calls lined up in your like file or like Google Drive or whatever. And the second thing is so that you can rewatch them. You can rewatch these calls, like the recordings, to see what you said, the way that you said it, like the tone of your tonality, or what you might need to change. What, like, you need to see like how the customer reacted to the way that you said a certain thing, and maybe they didn't react well or they were skeptical about it. And then you can just basically, by watching your recordings, you can figure out what you need to change so that the next time you won't make that mistake. So you're basically going to just watch what you need to change and kind of listen to the stuff that they want to see, and basically craft your offer around what they want to see and what they need. That's the best way to do it. So film is like one of the most important things about your agency. Having film is going to be something that's very important, like I always explain. So yeah, you want to always record the calls. Remember that. And then the last thing is you want to have your sales script ready. So my sales script is always on my computer screen so that I'm looking like into the camera as I can read it. You don't want to sound like too robotic and stuff like that. And you don't want to have it like off to the side. Like say you have it written down or you have it printed out. You don't want to have it like down, because when your screen is on, when your camera's on, they can see you looking straight at the sales script, like just reading word for word off of it. And that's not what you want to do. It has to be like authentic. It has to come off your tongue like you're just speaking to them directly. Basically, you're just having a conversation, which you are. You're just having a one-on-one conversation. It shouldn't be something where you're just grilling them, answering or asking sales questions. Like you have your questions there, but you don't need to read directly word for word because it's going to sound robotic. Your main goal is to figure out what their pains are, what their problems are, how their business is running, and how you can help. And you just use your common sense combined with the sales script to make it sound authentic. So just naturally, the questions that you need to answer, that you need to ask, will be asked when you do it this way, instead of just grilling them and reading it robotically off of a piece of paper or off of your screen, because they're gonna recognize that it's just basically a sales tactic, and you're not gonna look like you're good at sales at that point, and you're not gonna look very experienced, and they're not gonna think that you have many clients and that you can produce the results that you say you can produce. So you want to be very confident, and you want your conversation to flow like you're not reading a sales script. So like I said, you want to always have that sales script there to glance at, but you want to read it, and then you want to see what your sales script says, and then you want to say it authentically. So like if you want to ask them if your sales script says, how much money do you make per month? You want to ask it in like an authentic way, like you're just having a one-on-one conversation. You don't want to just say, how much money does your company make per month? So yeah, that's pretty much every step that I use to prepare for my meetings. When I get on these meetings, I'm always prepared. I try not to rush into them. Sometimes when I have a lot of it, like back-to-back ones, you have to rush into them, and you still will have time in between to write everything down, but you always want to mostly get your head right for like 10 minutes before the call. You want to be thinking about what you're going to say and what you're going to do on the call so that your mind is focused. Because like there's been times where I've just tried to hop on like a minute before, and then your speech is messed up, because when your mind's in a different place, depending on what you were doing before, you're just not locked in, right? So you want to be prepared, be there like 10 to 15 minutes before, have everything ready, like I said, ready to go. And when you get on the call, it's going to be simple. It's not too much to it. Once you do a lot of calls, it's pretty much a normal thing for you. So like at the beginning, you're going to be like hella nervous to get on, and like, what am I going to say? What are they going to say to me? Like, is my camera on? All this stuff. But you just need to relax, literally just speak calmly to them. Let them do most of the talking, and you're going to be fine. So yeah, that's how to prepare for your meetings when you get these calls. And yeah, just go through the process and you'll end up getting clients. So that's all I got to say. So if you guys want more information or if you want to see more tips and tricks, or you guys want to ask me any questions, just follow me on Instagram down below, and I'll be back with another video.